Thank you very much. Nick Robinson from the BBC.
Thank you very much indeed. Prime Minister, can you confirm that you plan to escalate the war in Libya by sending ground attack helicopters? And Mr. President, can you confirm that the United States will sit that particular mission out? And a general question for you, if I could. You've talked about an old war in Afghanistan and a new one in Libya. Is your partnership really that different than the one between Bush and Blair?
Well, thank you for that. Lots of questions in there. First of all, the President and I agree that we should be turning up the heat in Libya. I believe the pressure is on that regime. You see it in the fact that the rebels have successfully liberated much of Misrata. You see it in the success in other parts of the country. You see it in the strength of the coalition. You see it in the growth of the National Transitional Council. So I believe we should be turning up that pressure. And on Britain's part, we will be looking at all of the options for turning up that pressure, obviously within the terms of UN Resolution 1973, because we believe we need to keep enforcing that resolution, protecting civilians, pressurizing that regime so that the Libyan people have a chance to decide their own future. And within that, those are the options we'll look at. You asked the question about this relationship and past relationships. I think every relationship between a president and a prime minister is different. I would say both of us strongly believe in the special relationship. We both called it an essential relationship. But we believe you have, as I said in my speech, we have to learn the lessons of history about how best we promote the values that we share. And that means, yes, going with the grain of other cultures. It means, yes, having a patient understanding that building democracy takes time, and you have to work on the building blocks of democracy and not believe this all can be done in an instant. But I believe in that partnership, we're extremely strong together in wanting to see the same outcomes, whether that's in Afghanistan, where we want to see a peaceful and stable Afghanistan that no longer requires the presence of foreign troops to keep it free from terrorism. And we want to see a Libya where people have the chance to decide their own future. But we are doing things in a different way. We have ruled out occupying forces, invading armies. We are doing what we can to enforce Resolution 1973 and allowing the Libyan people to choose their own future. And we're very committed to doing that work together.
Well, first of all, I do think that we've made enormous progress in Libya. We have saved lives as a consequence of our concerted actions. I think it is important to note that we did so under a UN mandate and as part of a broad-based international coalition that includes Arab countries. And I absolutely agree that given the progress that has been made over the last several weeks, that Gaddafi and his regime need to understand that there will not be a let-up in the pressure that we are applying. And the United Kingdom, the United States, and our other partners are putting a wide range of resources consistent with the UN mandate in order to achieve that pressure. And I think we will ultimately be successful. The goal is to make sure that the Libyan people can make a determination about how they want to proceed, and that they'll be finally free of 40 years of tyranny, and they can start creating the institutions required for self-determination. So in terms of historical analogies, I just want to underscore this is not the United Kingdom and the United States alone. We have a broad range of partners under an international mandate designed to save lives and ensure that we did not have the sort of massacre that would lead us then to look back and say to ourselves, why did we stand by and do nothing? With respect to Afghanistan, similarly, we have a broad-based international mandate and a broad-based international coalition designed to make sure that Afghanistan does not serve as a base for attacks against our people. We've discussed, consistent with what we said in Lisbon during our NATO summit, that this will be a year of transition because of the work that we've done and the enormous sacrifices that both of our militaries have given. We are in a position now to start transitioning to an Afghan-led security process. And at the same time, we're going to be engaging in the sort of diplomatic work that is required for an ultimate political solution to the problems there, and I'm confident that we can achieve it. I think that there's no doubt that the United States and the United Kingdom have a unique relationship, and that is going to be consistent regardless of who the president, the prime minister is, and it's going to be consistent regardless of what parties we come from. There's so much that binds us together that it is not surprising that we are typically on the international stage going to be working together as opposed to at cross purposes. But as David mentioned, I think that the one thing that we have learned is that even as we promote the values and ideals that we care about, even as we make sure that our security interests are met, that we are using military power in a strategic and careful way, that we are making sure that as we promote democracy and human rights, that we understand the limits of what the military alone can achieve, and that we're mindful that ultimately these regions are going to be, that the fate of these regions are going to be determined by the people there themselves, and that we're going to have to work in partnership with them. And that, I think, is the best example of alliance leadership, and it's something that I'm very proud to be a part of.